Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be learning about Identity Access Management or IAM in Amazon Web Services. Whether you are a developer or a system administrator or just starting your cloud journey, understanding IAM is very crucial for securing AWS environment. So what exactly is IAM? AWS Identity and Access Management is a web service that helps you securely control access to AWS services and resources for your users. With IAM, you can create and manage AWS users and groups and use permissions to allow or deny their access to AWS resources. Let's break down the key concepts of IAM. First, we have users. These are individual accounts that represent a person or application that interacts with AWS services or console. Groups, a collection of IAM users. You can assign permission to a group and users in that group inherit those permissions. Next, we have roles. Roles are similar to users but are intended to be assumed by anyone who needs them, such as AWS services or applications. Next, we have policies. These are documents that define permissions. Policies can be attached to users' groups or users to grant or restrict access to AWS resources. Now, you might be wondering why you should be using IAM. Here are a few reasons. Like IAM helps you manage access securely, ensuring that only authorized users can access your resources. Next, granular control. You can define fine-grained permissions, allowing you to control who can do what in your AWS environment. Next, we have compliance. AWS help you meet compliance requirements by providing detailed access logs and the ability to enforce security policies. Now let's take some real world examples. Like if your organization have a backend developer, then you might need access to the services like AWS RDS for database management and EC2 for applications management, as well as Beanstalk for developing applications. You would create a user or a group with that policies that allow access to their services. For front-end development, your focus might be on building user interfaces and managing static assets. For this, users would have access to AWS Amplify for developing web applications, Amazon S3 for serving static files. You could create a user or group with that specific permissions for allowing access to that specific services. For DevOps engineer, you might need broader access to manage infrastructure. This could include permissions like CloudFormation to manage resources as code, CloudWatch for monitoring, and also IAM role itself to manage the user's permission. Now let's get a hands-on demo for this. So now let's get some hands-on experience with AWS IAM. Here inside this search box, you need to type in IAM and it will open IAM. You need to click here and it will open this kind of page. Here obviously you will have 0 users and very less amount of roles. From here, first let us try to create one user. For this, we can click on the users page. Here we need to click on create user. Here we need to provide the name. Suppose in this case, we want to create a user who will have access to EC2 instance creating and deleting. Let's name the user. Let's name it as Tom. We will be providing console access to the user. For now, we will not be using identity center. We'll only create IAM. Let's auto generate the password. If you want, when the user signs in next time, they should change the password, then you should check on this. Otherwise, you should uncheck this. Now, from here, we need to add permissions. We can either add permissions from group or we can copy permissions from other user or we can attach policies directly. Since this is a new account, you will not be having any group or any users. So we need to start by attaching policies directly. In our case, we want that the user can create EC2 instance, deploy EC2 instance, or delete or terminate instance. So we will be only allowing permissions for EC2 instance, not anything else. So for this, inside permission policy, just search for EC2. Here we need to provide EC2 full access. Here you can expand it, like it will allow EC2 load balancing, CloudWatch, auto scaling, IAM linked role. All these things are attached within this permission, and this policy is written by AWS, so it's AWS managed. So here we'll just add this permission. For now, let's just only add one permission policy. If you want more limited access, then you should be creating your own policy. For now, let's just provide EC2 full access. Click on next. Now we are only providing EC2 full access. We don't need any tag. Let's click on create. Now our user has been created, and this is the console sign in URL. Just copy this URL and don't sign and don't share this URL, username or password with everyone. You can open it in another tab. Paste the URL. Here you need to add the username as well as the password that is generated. It's better to download the CSV file because it will store the password within the CSV file and you can get that. Now copy console password and we are going to paste that here, and let's sign in. Now after signed in, you will find that here you will be getting access denied a lot. Here we are getting access denied. Everywhere we are getting access denied. If we try to visit any of the things like S3, here also it's not listing any bucket, but if we try to go to EC2, you will find here we have access to it, and here if we want we can also launch instances. We have that permission to do that. But if we now try to create a database, let's use RDS. Suppose Tom is a backend developer and he's mostly responsible for deploying applications. So in this case, he will be requiring EC2 and RDS access. But since here the user does not have RDS access, so we are getting this error. Now here what we can do, in our root user account, inside Tom, we can just add a permission. Let's attach policies directly from RDS full access. Click on next and then add the permission. Now Tom will have RDS full access. Let's try to refresh it. Now you can see that we have RDS full access, and now we can also create new databases. So in this way, we can attach permissions, and if you think that Tom does not require RDS permission, then we can also delete permission anytime we want. If we think that the user does not require the permission anymore, then we can remove those permission anytime, and permissions will be removed from the user account and user will not be able to access the specific service. Now you need to visit roles. Roles are mainly assigned to AWS services to access other AWS services. Here let us try to create a role for EC2 instance so that we can connect our EC2 instance using session manager. It's very simple. Create a new role. Choose the service as EC2. Click on next. Here we'll be requiring the SSM managed instance code, and these permissions contain all the things that we required for connecting our EC2 instance using SSM. Just check this and click on next. We need to give a name of this role. Let's give the name like SSM access for EC2. Then click on create role, and now the role has been created. Now we have created this role. Now let's go to our Tom account. This is Tom's account, and here we need to create an EC2 instance. For this, let's launch an instance. For this, let's use the default option. For creating, you can either use instance type as T2 micro or T3 micro. Both of them provide free to you. For this, let's use any of my old keep here. We'll be knowing about this in later part. For security groups, let's just select any one of the security group, and in IAM instance profile, you'll be getting this error that IAM list instance profile is not given to this user. So to give IAM instance profile, we need to visit our root user account again. Here in users for Tom, we need to add some permission to our user Tom. So here we can add permission, but since IAM permissions are very risky, we cannot add full IAM access to the user. We need to only add specific limited access for IAM. For that, we need to create our own policy. Click on policies. Here we need to create our own policy. For this, we'll be using the service IAM. And as it is mentioned here, we'll be requiring IAM list instance policy. We can just type in and search for list instance. Here I'm using the visual editor. Here I will be requiring the list instance policy. And let me save this. Here I need to name the policy also. Let's name it as Tom IAM Extras and just creating the policy. Only creating this policy will not work. We need to also attach this policy in our users. For Tom, let's add the permission. Here we need to search for the policy that we created. It was Tom IAM Extras, this one, that will allow us for IAM list instance policy. Let's click on next and add the permission. So now we need to just refresh this page. And now if we try to go to advanced details, here you will find that we can list our roles that we have previously created. Like we recently created this SSM access for EC2 role. Let us use this role. Let me use some existing key pairs and network security pairs. And now if we try to launch instance, here we are getting that you are not authorized to do this permission. We need the IAM pass role access for this user Tom. Let's also add this permission. Here in Tom IAM Extras, we are going to add one more permission. Click on edit. We can also use the visual editor and also the JSON editor. So this time let's just use the JSON editor. Since we are applying two policies, then in action, it should be a list. And then we need to write the name of the policy. It was IAM pass role. Let's just provide that IAM pass role. And now we are not having any errors. Now we have added the IAM pass role permission. If you check the visual editor, you can see IAM has two actions. First is selected one right, that is IAM pass role, and for list we have IAM instance profile. Let's click on next and let's save the changes. Let's refresh this permission, and in IAM extras we'll find that we are having IAM list instance profile and IAM pass role. Now we should be able to create new EC2 instance. Let's try to retry the fail task. As you can see, now it's giving launch initiation success, and now it has launched an T2 micro instance. Status check is initializing. It takes some time to initialize the status check. Let's try to connect, and here again Tom is not authorized for describe EC2 instance formation. This time again we need to provide this permission to Tom. For this we can just edit it here and we can provide SSM describe instance and update it. Now these are our policies that we are creating. Now this policy is already attached. Let's try to refresh it. Let's see. Here we have 3 actions. Now let's try to refresh this page. So we'll be also requiring SSM get connection status. Again, the same step we need to follow. Since we don't want the full permissions, so we need to modify it multiple number of times. And now let's click on next, save changes. Now in Tom IAM extras, we have given this 4 permissions like IAM list instance profile, IAM pass role, describe instance and connection status. And now the user can connect to the instance using session manager. So let's click on connect. Now for connecting to SSM, it's better that we give the full access for SSM. So here we need to add SSM. Let's add SSM full access policy. Let's click on next and add the permission. Now let's try to refresh this page. Now we are connected to our SSM instance. As you can see, and now from here we can do anything. In next video, we'll learn about EC2 instance. For now, that's all. So now I hope that you will have some idea about how IAM works, but no need to worry. In our next upcoming videos, we are going to be using IAM in several cases. So that's all for this video. If you like this video, then click on like button and subscribe for more upcoming videos.